The buyer's journey is a psychological map of how humans build trust with a brand. It depicts the mental phases that each person goes through when interacting with your brand, from before they know you exist, all the way through to being a lifelong client. Think of it like building a relationship with another person. It can't be rushed, and it goes through distinct phases before you are ready to fall in love and get married. What the other person says and does makes a big difference to your level of trust with them, and the level of comfort you feel in their company improves over time. The way you build relationships with your customers should be exactly the same. It matters what you say and when you say it. Every step should be nudging them along, slowly building trust and building that relationship from the ground up. That is how you generate lifelong customers, because you've created a solid relationship that's built to last. As you build that relationship, it's important to drip feed them value. Gradually make them realize how much they will benefit from this relationship. This is important because the higher they perceive your value, the more they will be willing to pay for your solution. Okay, so without further ado, it all starts when they become aware of your existence. At this point, they have no trust nor relationship with your brand. They barely know anything about you. Your main objective here is to pique their interest so that they are open to knowing more in the future. A mistake that brands often make at this stage is asking them to buy. Doing so is like asking for marriage on the first date. Don't make this mistake. Our job here is to pique interest and nothing more. If you do that successfully, you'll have a person who is open to seeing your communications but not ready to make a commitment yet. At this stage, they are much more comfortable hiding in the shadows and observing, and don't want to be approached. This is due to many reasons. For example, they may not be ready to buy. They may not even know that they need what you're offering. And they haven't had enough time to build a relationship with your brand yet. So approaching them at this point would be like going up to a stranger in the street and asking them to buy from you. It's unlikely to work. Our job at this point is to provide information and value to them, to start to gain their trust and show them why they might need your solution. This can't be rushed. It's a psychological process that each person must go through at their own pace. Once they realize they have a need for your solutions, that's when they start to become a bit more active and open to non-committal communication. They may ask questions or interact with your posts, but again, they aren't ready to buy yet. They just realize that you have something of value to them. What happens next often trips people up, because you'd think that as soon as someone realizes they have a need, they'll call you up and want to engage. But in reality, there's a step that comes before that, and that's research. Here they will go to Google and search for alternative solutions, free solutions or cheaper solutions. They'll educate themselves on the problem in order to know how best to solve it. Here most brands make a big mistake. They leave these buyers to draw their own conclusions, which may or may not include you. What if, instead, you could support their research? You could provide them with an in-depth list of alternative solutions and explain the pros and cons of each. In doing so, you feed their thirst for knowledge and actually begin the pre-qualification process. Those who don't find your solution to be ideal won't then waste time with your sales team, whereas those who do find it ideal will be even more eager to speak with you. There are many other ways that you can support the research phase. Suffice to say, don't leave them to their own devices. Control the narrative and ensure that you're the brand that's guiding them through the process, because when the time comes for them to make a decision between you and a competitor, if you're the one that's been helping them all along, who do you think that they'll choose? Assuming you've been omnipresent throughout their journey this far, and every interaction they've had with your brand has been positive and filled with value, once they come to make a decision, you'll have stacked the odds firmly in your favor. What this means is that leads are warmer, they are better educated, and they're ready to proceed. Your sales team become order takers rather than having to start from scratch every time. Then once they buy from you, they enter the retention stage. Here's where you must meet their expectations in your delivery. That's not something we can help you with. However, where we can support you is in client-specific marketing. These new customers have only transacted with you once or twice, and their potential lifetime value is likely 10 times greater. So we must stay front of mind and continue to provide value and raise awareness of your wider solutions. This is key to maintaining that relationship that you've worked so hard to build. Like, do you really want to ghost them at this point? Check in with them regularly and ask them for feedback. This presents an amazing opportunity to capitalize on your happy customers and ask them to write a review or refer you to someone else. This will boost your most powerful marketing channel of all, word of mouth. And layered throughout this journey are the various channels that you can use to communicate to your audience. If you use these channels strategically, you can identify which stage of the journey they're in and therefore what you need to say. All these channels create touch points which act to create familiarity with your brand. And did you know that the mind cannot tell the difference between familiarity and trust? Therefore, simply by adopting multiple channels and increasing the number of touch points, you will inevitably increase familiarity and therefore trust. It takes on average 7 touch points to build trust, so think about how you can use channels like these to achieve that. For each of those touch points, we ensure that you add value and use psychological techniques to increase their effectiveness. By combining multiple channels, you can reach your audience wherever they go, and incidentally, many channels work synergistically to yield even greater results. What I mean by that is, for example, generating a new connection on LinkedIn enables you to acquire their email address. That email address can then receive email marketing, which sends them to your website. Then once on your website, you can use remarketing to show them ads on social media. And you know that the individual is highly targeted because of their job role and location on LinkedIn. Another example is when you produce content for thought leadership that's placed on your blog. That content can be used as justification for another email or a LinkedIn post, which further increases touch points and authority. Furthermore, your additional content on your website supports your SEO initiatives. So that is how we approach the buyer's journey from a strategic perspective, where every channel has a purpose and supports the other channels around it. Communication at every phase is carefully crafted to nudge them along the process, and so you end up with far more leads who are far hotter and they're ready to engage.